Welcome to the presentation and our walkthrough with the Dragonfly 36. I'm Peter Quorning, the owner of Quorning Boats, the yard building all the Dragonfly Trimarans since 1967.
I'm Peter Quorning, the son of Jens and third generation in this family-owned business.
We would like to take you through all the details in this Dragonfly 36, so please sit down with a beer or a glass of wine and we will take our time to really detail show the boat, and Peter will do that right after this. The Dragonfly 36, as it says, 36 feet for the hull, excluding the bowsprit, is designed for, you can say, fast cruising. It's designed for category A for 5 people, and we then also said it's also for category B for 7 people, so you can take more people if you just go on the coastline. Our target group with the Dragonfly 36 is basically people who want fun, great sailing with family and friends. Everybody with normal sailing experience can sail our boats, and you can also sail the boat single-handed. You can also use the boat for racing, and you can also do ocean crossings. Performance-wise, we are here and at the upper end of our fleet. The Dragonfly 36 is between our 40 Ultimate and the 40 Carbon version. So the boat has great performance in light airs, which might be a surprise for some people, but the light air performance is really outstanding. In medium winds, the boat is still fast, but where the boat really takes off is in stronger winds, let's say plus 14-15 knots wind, where the boat really starts to fire up safely. If you like sailing, this is really the upper level of fine sailing. Performance-wise, I can give you some indications what we're talking about here. In 5 knots wind speed, the boat does 5 knots boat speed. In 10 knots wind speed, the boat is doing 10 knots boat speed, combined with the code 0 from the front of the bowsprit. Again, at 15 knots wind, we also do 15 knots boat speed. If you sit up right at 20 knots wind, you are very close to 20 knots boat speed. And that's where it sort of hit the sound barrier. But if you push the boat hard in stronger winds, you'll be able to do 24 knots. I'm not talking about surf or anything, but on flat water, I will guarantee 24 knots. We have a wide variety of customers for our boats. We see monohull sailors who are grown up and they need too many people to assist for sailing their bigger monohulls. Again, based on the fact that you can sail this boat even by yourself, a shorthand, or with a very small crew. We also see people coming from the catamaran scene, having normal catamarans or bigger catamarans, scaling down, who wants still to go fast and fun, still wants to go into shallow bays, shallow anchors, and even to dry out and beach the boat. We are actually reaching out to everybody who likes and loves sailing. The Dragonfly concept offers 3 advantages. It's speed, draft, and heeling angle. Speed, because you can get quickly from A to B. You have a much bigger radius for cruising and racing. And if you have bad weather coming, you're actually more sure you can get quick into shelter. Secondly, the best anchor places spots is where you have shallow water, or you can even beach the boat on sandy beaches. The third, not least, is the heeling angle. Some people are not in favor of, like monohull, heeling over at 25-30 degrees. Where we have a low heeling angle of, let's say, between 5 and 8 degrees by normal sailing. Our customers have different priorities, some for the heeling angle, some for the speed, some because of the shallow ground. But basically, the whole combination makes the boat special, and not many boats can offer that. And now I'll hand you over to Peter, who will show you all the details and features in this fantastic boat. Have fun.
Let's get started, and I will tell you some facts about this amazing Dragonfly 36. As all other Dragonfly models, this Dragonfly 36 is also foldable. When unfolded, it has a width of 8.12 meters, and you can reduce the beam within 2 minutes to a width of only 3.7 meters. Later, I will get back to how to operate this swing wing system, which makes it possible to fold the boat in and out. When the boat is folded, it is 13.43 meters long from the front of the bowsprit and to the transom of the floats. When it's folded out, front of the bowsprit and to the transom of the main hull, it is 11.55 meters long. This Dragonfly 36 is offered in 2 versions. The touring version with a 16.5 meters tall rig and the performance version with 18.5 meter tall rig. For both versions, you get the Genoa and the main and a carbon mast as standard. The weight of the standard Dragonfly 36 is 4.5 tons. With standard options included, you can expect around 5 tons of boat weight. It comes standard in white gel coat, and you can choose between any color you like. Anti-fouling, you can choose between various colors. As all other boats in the Dragonfly range, the Dragonfly 36 is unsinkable. And no, it is not yet another Titanic story. It is actually unsinkable. And it's because it is a sandwich construction where you have divinyl foam core, which is enclosed air cells in the whole laminate of the boat. And in the combination of not having a keel, a very heavy keel dragging us down, this boat is 100% unsinkable. This is the first Dragonfly with the inverted bow on the main hull. This design is done to have more volume in the forward part of the main hull, to have even more buoyancy so you can push the boat more when sailing downwind. It also gives us the possibility to make a more spacious living area inside the forward cabin. For anchor, we have different packages to choose between, so the anchor itself is an option for the boat. Here we have the ultramarine with the leaded line, but you can also choose between galvanized chain, stainless steel chain, and also a delta galvanized anchor. The anchor can be controlled from the anchor locker up on the deck. Here in the freeboard we have these integrated flush port lights. These are standard for this boat. Here you also see the shine. We call it a shine because it actually leads the spray away from the boat to make the boat more dry when sailing. And it also makes the forward cabin even wider. The shine also gives us the possibility to have a narrow waterline to increase the performance. Here you see we have this fixed bowsprit. This fixed bowsprit means that we at all times can have the Code Zero standing up, hoisted at all times, which makes it more convenient when you need to use it, because you don't need to rig it up every time for using it. The fixed bowsprit also includes the anchor system. You have the lantern underneath, and you also have the tack line coming directly out of the nose when using the asymmetric gennaker. For Code Zero we have different options. First of all, you have different ways to furl this sail. We have the electric furler, and this comes in a fast setup, it comes in a normal setup, and it also comes in a manual endless line system where you furl it manually. For the Code Zero you can choose between two different materials. You can choose the Elfstrom Apex Technora Black Film material, and you can choose the BZ80 material. And this is two different price ranges with also two different strengths. Since the Code Zero is hoisted at all times, the Code Zeros are always delivered with a UV cover. For the Genoa we also have two different furler systems. You can choose between the electric furler, which is controlled with buttons from in the cockpit, and we also have the standard setup with a manual Fagnor furling system. The two furling system allows the standard Genoa to be set in different reefing positions. On the foredeck you also see the installation here of the pulpit. This pulpit keeps you protected when you are here on the foredeck, and it also gives you the possibility to have something to hold on to when walking aft on the boat. Now I would like to show you the anchor locker. It's very big and very spacious, again due to the inverted bow in the main hull. Here you can see the wired remote control for the electric anchor winch. You can see the room and the space for the leaded line or the galvanized or stainless steel chain for the anchor. We even have a saltwater hose so you can spray off the mud when the anchor is hoisted. In here you also find the plug for the shore power cable. The two lines you see here that is led under the deck is the tack line, and then we have the manual furl line for the Genoa system. Since the anchor locker is this size, you have plenty of storage for fenders and mooring lines. On the foredeck you can choose between two different mooring cleats. This is a standard stainless steel mooring cleat, And the ones you see installed here on the foredeck is the optional anodized aluminum foldable mooring cleats. On top of the wings, you'll find the stainless steel lifting eyes, which is integrated into the bolt holding the wing. You see it here, and we also have a lifting eye on the opposite side, and we also have two aft on each side of the cockpit. This means that you with 4 straps can have a center lift for the boat. You are also able to lift this Dragonfly with a travel lift. You can see we have mark here and also on the opposite side of the main hull, and same marks you will find on each side of the cockpit. These marks indicate where to position the straps from the travel lift. When lifting with a travel lift, you need to fold the boat approximately halfway out, so you're able to get the straps around the main hull. To make it possible to fold the boat in and out, we need an adjustable part of the side stay, and this is what we have here. Since the boat is not in the water, this is not the right setup, so imagine we have a block that is attached to the side stay. To handle this adjustable part of the side stay, we have led it directly back to the cockpit to the electrical winches, so you can handle it from there. Here you also see 2 lines that is led back to the cockpit. This one, the red one, is for the boom wang, which is also a kind of a preventer. And here we have the barber hole that is led back to a winch. I've now moved to the deck, where I would like to tell you about the hatches. Here on the deck we have various skylights. We have all these here, and every one is standard. But to have this skylight openable is an option. Otherwise, it's a normal skylight where light can enter the main cabin. The solar panel you see here is a 60-watt solar panel and is an option for the Dragonfly 36. To my right, you can see we have the Genoa tracks. Here, this boat has the optional adjustable Genoa track installed. Otherwise, it is where you manually need to move the Genoa car to make the right trim. On the deck, we have a lot of areas with anti-skid. This anti-skid is integrated into the mold, so all Dragonfly 36 are born with this anti-skid you see all over the place. The anti-skid prevents you from slipping and have a good grip when walking around on the deck. On each side, you can see we have this stainless steel handrail, so you're able to hold onto the boat when walking alongside the deck. For the Dragonfly 36, you can choose to install an optional self-taking jib, and this curved shape you see here on top of the deck is for the self-taking jib track. All lines from the mast base are led into these deck organizers, and these deck organizers lead all lines back to the cockpit that disappears through the cockpit coaming and is led under deck back to the cockpit. Here you see 2 more skylights, which are also a standard for the Dragonfly 36. These are openable, and this one is openable into the aft cabin, and this one opens into the galley. Here on port side of the deck, we have the lid you can take off to fill up the freshwater tank, and here we have the lid you can take off to empty the grey water tank. All 4 wings on this Dragonfly 36 is vacuum infused in vinylester and is also reinforced with carbon fibers in the areas where you experience the highest loads. All 4 wings and the 2 main bulkheads inside the main hull is all milled in a CNC machine to get a very precise cutout. The water stay is an important part of the entire construction and the strength of the boat. It is attached directly into this stainless steel fitting that is screwed directly into the glass fiber carbon reinforced bulkhead. In the other end, we have this threaded terminal on the wire that is screwed into a fitting in the wing, so it's fixed and can obtain all the forces coming from the buoyancy and the pressure from the rig. Our advice is to change these water stays every 10 years or 25,000 nautical miles, and whatever comes first. The Dragonfly 36 is the first Dragonfly in the Dragonfly range where we have made this type of swing wing construction. In this construction, we can remove all the stainless steel parts, so we now only has a through bolt, which is the turning point of this new swing wing system. The two parts you see coming out through the main hull here is actually the main bulkhead. So the wing are attached with this through bolt directly into the bulkhead, which gives a stronger and more rigid swing wing system. We have made this change to save weight, to save time in production, and also to have less maintenance of stainless steel. I'm now standing here next to the bow of the starboard float, and as you can see, it has a wave-piercing bow. This allows us to give more buoyancy forward in this float, and we have the assembly of the deck and hull right here in the anti-fouling line. So we have buoyancy quite early when you start pushing the boat. The sharp eye may have noticed that with this kind of shape, the floats are asymmetric. This asymmetric design also gives us the possibility to make another design of the underwater design, the hydrodynamics of the float, so it has a better slip and better planning when performing. The deck of the floats are designed in a way so it's quite flat on top, so it's easy accessible if you need to position a fender or need to access this area. On the freeboard of the float, to protect the color or the gel coat, you have the option to choose between a gray or a black rub rail. I have now moved underneath the trampoline of the starboard side and here underneath the wing. This is to show you these control lines that operates the swing wing system and runs diagonal here underneath the trampoline. To increase the diagonal stability of the boat when pushing the boat downwind, we have made the design so the bow of the float is actually further forward than the actual bow of the main hull. They are about 70 centimeters in front of the bow of the main hull, which is roughly 2 feet. On the front of the wing, we have this stainless steel fitting. This stainless steel fitting is to park the barber hole. This extended barber hole is actually so you're able to make the bow a new bowsprit for the asymmetric Jenica, so you can pull it out to the windward side of the boat out of shelter when going dead downwind. This stainless steel fitting also makes it possible to install an anchor bridle to prevent fishtailing when anchoring. On this boat you can see we have two big hatches in the float. The float is divided into different sections, so we have a bulkhead here underneath the wing. We have a bulkhead right where you have the side stay stainless steel fitting and yet another bulkhead underneath the aft wing. This means that we have sections that is accessible for storage. You have this one, this is standard for the Dragonfly 36. The aft hatch is an optional hatch. Here on the deck we also have the optional folding cleat, and you can choose between two different designs. You have this stainless steel foldable cleat which can fold up and down, and then you have this anodized folding cleat which pops up and can be lowered. Further aft you can see the optional solar panel which is installed in the same position on the other float, but you can actually choose to have either 1, 2 or 3 extra solar panels on each float. This is a 60-watt solar panel from Sunwear, which you can easily walk on without hurting the solar cells. Here on the side of the float we have the stainless steel fitting for the attachment of the side stay. Right here next to it we have the barber hole that is led back to the cockpit, and here you can see we have installed an openable block so you can use the barber hole both for the Genoa, for the Code Zero and also for the asymmetric Jenica. The lines you see here that is running through this block installed on the deck of the float is the swing wing line which folds in the boat, and this you handle from the cockpit. When you want to operate the swing wing system, you have to remove this safety cable. This safety cable runs diagonal underneath the trampoline into the center hull and makes sure and prevents the boats from folding in case someone accidentally opened the clutches or the lines are damaged. Here on the aft part of the wing we have 3 pad eyes. These pad eyes makes it possible to change the sheeting angle of the Code Zero or the Jenica. This boom wing can be attached to the boom so you can make the right trim of the mainsail since we don't have a traveler here on board. This boom wing also have a safety function as you can prevent a potential Chinese jibe when you're sailing downwind. The trampolines on board a Dragonfly is fantastic. These trampolines makes it possible to access the deck of the float. It gives you the possibility to have plenty of space to rig different sails, and it's a perfect sun platform. You can expect the trampoline to last for approximately 15 years depending on sail area. And you can also expect that the trampoline needs to be restitched every 5 to 7 years, which can be done by a local sailmaker. On the transom of the float we have this swim ladder. It gives you great access to the transom of the float, but it's also a very good feature in case someone accidentally falls in the water, so it's easy to access. When we designed the Dragonfly 36, it was very important for us to have a very good area where you can sit and helm the boat. Therefore, we have made the push pit with a curved shape here aft, so you can sit nice and relaxed here while helming the boat. Here you also see that we have installed some backrest foam to make it even more comfortable. Behind the helmsman seat we have these cables that closes the cockpit so you can walk around here in the cockpit safely. Here aft you can install a flagpole in the push pit, and down here we have the mooring cleat. Now I would like to go through the different features here around the helmsman seat. It's a very important part of the setup and the handling of the Dragonfly 36. From the helmsman seat we have the control for the engine, and we have the engine display down here. Here on my right we have the controls for the optional bow thruster, but you can also choose to have an installation of an optional stern thruster. This will also be operated from this position. We have some big screens and many displays which can be set up individually for your future Dragonfly 36. The 2 big winches you see here is standard electric. These 2 winches is operated from the 2 buttons you see here, which can be reached from the helmsman position and also when you are moving in the cockpit. The small electric winch is for the main sheet and for the boom wing. All the other lines that is led back here are mainly controlled by the electric winch here, but can also be led to the smaller winch here. The 3rd winch is actually for the optional barber hole. Further forward you can see we have 3 clutches. This is to control the swing wing system and also the adjustable part of the side stay. This line is controlled also by the bigger electric winch. Here we have an integrated rope locker. Here you can park and store the lines that are not in use. On top of that you have even more storage here underneath the hatch. Here you will normally park the main sheet and the boom wing. As standard in the cockpit you will have this white non-skid surface, but then you can choose between 2 other options. This is the Smart Deck option, and then you can also choose the Flexi-Teak. Here you see the standard carbon rudder blade for the Dragonfly 36. This rudder blade has quite a shape, and this is to make sure that the rudder is balanced at all times so you can helm the boat with 2 fingers on the steering wheel. But this profile is also to prevent cavitation when you are sailing at high speeds. This rudder is made with a kick-up system, so if you hit a ground, the rudder will kick up automatically. It is made out of carbon fiber, but as you can see, we have anti-fouled the rudder blade to make sure that you don't need to hoist the rudder every time you leave the boat. This rudder can of course also be hoisted with the line you see here that is led back to the workstations in the cockpit, so you can beach the boat or sail into shallow waters. The rudder can of course also be controlled by the autopilot that is controlled through the display installed in the cockpit. I would now like to demonstrate the swing wing system here on the Dragonfly 36. First, I have to take off the safety cable. I fold out just a little bit to take the pressure off the clutches. Then I release the fold out line. Now you can see the trampoline is loose. Then I switch the line to the fold in line. And then I simply just push the button. This is done very easily. So now it's just left to close the system, and then you have folded the boat. So you can do this within a couple of minutes to reduce the width of the beam from 8.12 meters to only 3.7 meters. Now I want to demonstrate how to unfold the Dragonfly 36. I put on the fold out line, open the system, and then I push the button. Close the clutches, put on the safety cable, and that's it. When you fold the boat in and out, the construction is designed so when you fold it, you push the floats into the water, so you lift the main hull approximately 10 to 12 centimeters. This means that you have the main weight of the boat on the floats, so it's very stable when you are in the harbor. This also means that when you fold out the boat, the floats are pushed out by the buoyancy of the floats, so you actually can fold out very quickly. The 30 horsepower standard engine comes with this 2-blade Gory propeller. It's foldable to reduce drag when sailing. The optional 40 horsepower Yanmar engine comes with a 3-bladed Gory propeller, which is also foldable. The sail drive and the engine are placed in the back of the boat to get the engine out of the living area, but also to be able to have the sail drive further up than the very bottom of the boat to protect it if you hit ground. The engine room is quite spacious. You have plenty of room around the engine to make service and maintenance of this engine. With the 30 horsepower, you can expect a cruising speed of around 5.5–6 knots. And the advantage to choose the 40 horsepower optional engine is that you can get the optional dynavat installed to generate even more power. And with the 40 horsepower, you also get more thrust when you need to maneuver in the harbor. And you will also get more or less the same cruising speed, but just with lower RPMs, so it's good when you are sailing longer distance by engine. Here to the port side, you can see we have the 20-liter hot water boiler. On the stern we have the autopilot installed, manufactured by JEFA, which is connected to the Raymarine instruments. On the front of the engine room, we have the standard starting battery 100 amps that comes standard with the engine. Here to the starboard side, you can see we have the charger inverter from Victron. And this we have installed since this boat is manufactured with lithium batteries installation. To the port side, right next to the hot water boiler, we have this optional diesel heating system. If you end up in a situation where the cables for the steering wheels are damaged or is out of function, then you use this emergency tiller. This emergency tiller is parked in the engine room on the stern. You unscrew this lid, and then this emergency tiller fits right into this position in emergency situations. When you leave the boat or on rainy days, you can of course close the companionway. For this you will need a washboard, and then you can just close the sliding hatch. Easy to handle, nice installation, and you can easily lock and take the key with you. We offer this carbon fiber mosquito net, so you're able to ventilate the cabin and still keep the companionway closed. As all other Dragonflies, the Dragonfly 36 also comes with the standard kick-up centerboard and rudder system. The centerboard is buoyant and has no weight. So this means if you hit ground, the spring-loaded cleat over here will pop open if it's exposed to a certain force, and the centerboard will float up into the centerboard casing. Here on the other side we have the board upline if you need to keep it hoisted in any situation. The control lines for the swing rudder comes through the cockpit coaming here and can be controlled manually here on the electric winch. Underneath the cockpit coaming you have the spring-loaded cleat which will pop up in case you hit ground with the rudder. Here in front of the wheel you find the optional cockpit shower, and right underneath we have the manual bilge pump for the center cabin. On the port side where you store the main sheet and the boom wang, you have also the installation of the propane bottle. And in front of that you have this quite spacious cockpit locker. Here in the center of the cockpit we have the installation of the main sheet, and you can easily handle it from both sides of the cockpit as it is lit underneath the cockpit floor. Here on the seats you can choose the option for a cushion that is removable on both sides, and here you also have the optional backrest foaming for even more comfort when relaxing here in the cockpit. All lines are led back to the workstations, so when you have guests or family on board they can sit nice and relaxed here forward in the cockpit without feeling they are in the way when trimming and sailing. Let me highlight that there are no visible lines until the clutches here aft in the cockpit. Above the companionway you have the option to install different displays and instruments, so the crew that is sitting here forward in the cockpit are able to follow the navigation of the boat. Here behind me and also on the other side you have some nice storages, and in the very bottom of these storages we also have the loudspeakers installed for the sound system. In the cockpit you can choose the option to have indirect LED installation to give a nice and cozy feeling. From the helmsman position you can even turn the lights on and off, and you're also able to dim the lights up and down. We have the optional carbon fiber wheels, but the boat comes standard with white painted composite wheels. Next to the helmsman position you have the attachment point for the lifelines, so you can sit here and helm the boat safely. On each side of the wheel stations you have a good handrail to hold on to. Here on the port side of the cockpit at the helmsman position we have the fire port for the engine room. Here in the center of the cockpit you can get the nice optional cockpit table. You can easily fold it up and down. And for easy storage the cockpit table comes with a bag, so you can store it out in the float. For the Dragonfly 36 we offer a spray hood. It's a spray hood of approximately this height and goes to this position, so you can sit nice protected while relaxing here in front of the cockpit while sailing. In addition to the spray hood you can choose the spray hood extension that extends the spray hood till the main sheet position, so you can sail with this spray hood extension while sailing. To enclose the cockpit completely we also offer a cockpit tent that is connected to the spray hood until the wheel stations. And for even more protection from the sun we also offer a bimini setup in the aft part of the cockpit. For ventilation you are able to open the sides on both the spray hood extension, the cockpit tent, and you're also able to open the middle section of the spray hood, so you can have very good ventilation when you are sailing in hot climate. That's it from the outside, and I would now like to take you through the interior and the inside of the boat. Welcome inside the Dragonfly 36. In here you have a very nice and spacious living area where you have up to 2 meter and 5 centimeter standing headroom quite far forward in the saloon. You have a forward cabin, we have a big aft cabin, and then you can fold this side out to a double berth, so you have actually space to sleep up to 6 adults here in the Dragonfly 36. This berth is really easy and fast to fold out. It is 1 meter and 90 centimeters long, and it's a nice berth for when you're sailing long distance, so you are nearby the cockpit. The cushions here in the main cabin comes in a standard fabric, and you can choose between various different fabrics and colors. For your reference, my height is 1 meter and 92 centimeters, which equals around 6.3 feet. I have plenty of standing headroom, even though I'm standing quite forward right next to the mast support and the forward bulkhead. We have quite a lot of lights, LED lights here inside the main cabin. We have all the indirect LED lights here above the side windows, the roof windows. And then we also have some indirect light going through the cabinets, and this is all optional. We also have the indirect light, which you see here on the floor and also underneath each stair by the companionway. Also optional. Standard, you have these spots, LED spots in the roof, where you get 7 spots as standard. In all, reading lights is installed with USB-C in the very bottom of each reading lamp. Here in the cabinet to the starboard side, you will also have the standard USB sockets. We have a very spacious table here in the center of the main cabin, which you easily can fold up, lower a footrest here on the floor, so you can sit nice and comfortable here around the table, 6 people. Underneath this table we have the centerboard case, where you can lift the centerboard if you want to go into shallow water or even beach the boat. When lifting and lowering the centerboard, you control this system from the cockpit. In the center cabin, you see all these floorboards. Here aft, we have the diesel tank, and otherwise you have storage further forward. All floorboards are made in a foam core with laminate on top and bottom, so it's a very, very light floorboard. The floorboards you see here in this main cabin is the standard for the Dragonfly 36. To bring in more light in the main cabin, there's a lot of windows here. On the side of the deck, we have these big windows with the optional curtains. The hatches you see here on top of the deck are all standard as previously explained on the outside, whereas this one is an option to make it openable. On top of the deck, you have the option to choose a combined roller blind and mosquito net for all the hatches. With this combined mosquito net and roller blind, you have the possibility to ventilate the main cabin and still keep some of the sun out of the main cabin. On each side of the main cabin, here inside the open cabinets, you can choose to have these openable hatches installed, so you're able to ventilate the cabin even more. We offer the Dragonfly 36 wood interior in 2 types. The standard ash laminate wood interior is a more light version and gives a more light feeling inside the boat, where this elm interior gives a more modern touch and feeling here inside the main cabin. On both sides of the main cabin, you have plenty of storage in all the cabinets you see on the sides. In the saloon table, you also have integrated storage. Next to the entrance, to the head and to the front cabin, you can see these standard cabinets. On port and starboard side, underneath the sofa, you have storage. I have now moved to the forward cabin in the Dragonfly 36, and as you can see, it is quite spacious for a 36 feet boat. You have a 2 meter and 5 centimeters long berth, 160 wide, and quite good light coming into this cabin. You have a big hatch here where you have the optional solar blind combined with a mosquito net. In the forward cabin we have the same skylight as in the main cabin. And you also have the standard freeboard port lights, where you can have the optional roller blinds. Plenty of storage here in front, where you have the switch for the anchor winch, and of course in these cabinets and also behind me. The boat also comes standard with a sliding door for more privacy, and you have buttons for switching on and off the entire lights in the forward cabin. Underneath the forward cabin you have the optional bow thruster installation, whereas underneath here you have plenty of more storage for bags, etc. As standard for the Dragonfly 36, the mattresses comes in this white antibacterial fabric. So this fabric that matches the upholstery in the main cabin is an option. Here in the port side corner you can see we have the reading lamp that has an integrated USB-C, and we have the outlet from the diesel heating system. Standard, the boat comes with a manual pump toilet, but as you can see here, this toilet is an electric toilet where you have the display right here. This is the button for the bilge pump when you're showering here in the head, and these two are for the lights. Above the sink you can see we have nice and good storage. The 230 volt plug here is standard, and for the US market it's of course 120 as standard. When showering you simply hoist the tap into this position, and then you hang a curtain in the four corners so the water are let into the bilge, and then you can pump the water out from the bilge by pushing this button. Right next to me you can see we have the toilet paper holder, and we also have the outlet for the optional diesel heating. Here in front of me you have a nice big mirror, and here on top you have an openable skylight with the optional combined mosquito and solar shade. This aft cabin is fantastic. You have plenty of space and you can sit here nice and relaxed, read a book, watch a movie, whatever you like. This aft cabin is 2.1 meter long, and it's plenty of space for 2 people. You have storage here on the side. You have a small storage for a phone, book, etc. And even a small shelf here, which is integrated into the main bulkhead, which takes the forces from the wings. We also have lots of LED lights, which gives a very nice and light feeling. In the corner on the port side of the aft cabin you have a small reading light with an integrated USB-C. Above me you can see the optional openable hatch, which opens and ventilates from the cockpit. For this hatch you can also choose to have this roller blind. As in the forward cabin, the cushions here in the aft cabin comes in this antibacterial fabric as standard. So if you want the cushions here to match the fabric in the main cabin, you need to choose this as an option. Underneath this antibacterial mattress you have this mesh which ventilates the mattress even better. And this is also standard. I have now removed the mattresses to show you the electric installations here on board. Here you see the lithium batteries, 2x 200 amps Victron lithium batteries. This is one of the packages that you can choose between. You can also choose up to 3x 200 amps lithium batteries with a quadro charger inverter installation. But standard, the boat comes with a 2x 100 AGM batteries. Here underneath you have other electrical installations, whereas you here on the other side have even more storage. I have now moved to the front of the aft cabin to show you this area. Here you see some big cabinets where you have a lot of storage, and you even have a big shelf here on top of the cabinets. For even more lights, you can choose this optional hatch with the optional port light. This hatch cannot be in an openable version as this is too close to the waterline. And here next to me you can see we have a big hatch which we have to install, and we are obliged to install due to the CE homologations. Since the emergency hatch is openable, you can easily use it to ventilate when you are in the harbor on flat water. But in case it is open while sailing, you can actually experience that water will enter the aft cabin. So please remember to close before sailing. Right in front of me we have a nice big mirror, and on top of me we have an openable skylight with the optional combined mosquito and solar blind. Behind me you have the switches for all the lights inside the aft cabin. All lights are dimmable. Let's have a look at the galley area. As you can see here on the top we have this fridge integrated. This is an option, and if you don't choose the fridge, this will be an integrated cabinet. Above we have shelves for even more storage, and of course these two big cabinets. You can actually remove the tabletop and lower it behind this combined stove and oven that is powered by propane. Normally this is gimbaled so it can swing back and forth, but since we are on a boat on a trimaran with very little heel, this is fixed. Above the sink you can see we have two water taps. One is for fresh water and the other one is for salt water. This boat is installed with a hot water boiler, so the fresh water will of course be able to deliver hot water. Here in the corner underneath the cabinet you can see we have a 230 volt plug. This will of course be 120 volt for the US market. Underneath and right here in the tabletop we have an openable lid. This is for the garbage. For your cutlery on board we have plenty of storage here in the galley. Here you can see the two drawers. And even bigger drawers with more volume underneath. For all the tanks in the boat we have a grey water tank which is 80 liters. This grey water tank is installed above water level, so when you need to empty it you can actually just open the seacock so it flushes out in the water. And as previously explained, on the outside you can of course also pump it out through the deck. Freshwater tank is installed right here next to the centerboard casing, and it contains 200 liters of fresh water. And right underneath here where I'm standing we have the diesel tank which can contain 70 liters of diesel. Up here in the corner we have a smoke detector. At the companionway you have this nice handrail to support you when you walk up and down the stairs. Here on the starboard side you can choose between two setups. You can choose either this setup where you have an integrated cabinet, or you can choose the version where you have an even bigger tabletop and where the cabinet is removed so you can swing your legs in underneath the tabletop and sit with a laptop. Above we have this switchboard where you can control the different electric components here in the Dragonfly 36. It's all from navigation lights to deck lights to the different bilge pumps and even the cabin lights. The display you see here is a Eberspecher display for the diesel heating. Here you see the display for the sound system, and over here you get the overview through a Victron display that shows you how much the solar cells are charging, how much the house battery capacity there's left, and so forth. Let's have a look behind the switchboard. Here you can see all the fuses and the electric installations, and you can follow all wiring in the boat through the electrical diagram.
We hope you enjoyed this quick walkthrough of the Dragonfly 36. Well, it wasn't quick, I warned you in the beginning, but it's been a pleasure to have you with us. And Peter, what else?
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the tour. I did. So if you find Dragonfly interesting, please reach out to our sales staff here at the yard. You can come give us a visit to see how we manufacture and produce the boats, or you can reach out to our worldwide dealer network. Thank you for watching.